Hello there, this is Kate Petty, the LG CreateBoard Specialist, and today I am so excited to share our K-12 whiteboarding, classroom management, and lesson design tool for all of our LG customers using CreateBoard. So I'm actually at createboard.com/prep, and this is CreateBoard. We've called this CreateBoard Prep. And this is the blank canvas that you're seeing right at the beginning when you go ahead and go to that URL. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do when you go to that URL is hit these little three dots here and register up here for an account. And you can use your school account. And once you do, you'll be able to save lessons and do a couple of the extra features. Now, if you don't register, if you forget to log in, you'll notice that some things are grayed out. So you're going to want to make sure that you make sure you're signed in at all times. So to get started, let's talk about where we're at. I'm not on the CreateBoard behind me. I'm actually on my laptop. One of the best things about CreateBoard Prep is that it is browser-based as well as app-based, which means I can enjoy creating my lessons right at my desk with my laptop or with my teacher computer. I can do it at home. I can do it at my daughter's soccer game. I can do whatever I need to do to create my lessons, and I don't have to be tied to the board when I do it. Now, once I create a lesson here in CreateBoard Prep, it'll show up here in this little blue lessons folder. And when I do get to the CreateBoard in class later and I open the app, or I go to the browser and go to the website and sign into both, my lessons will be there to be able to be activated. So that's very exciting. All right, well, let's take a look at CreateBoard Prep and all of the things that we have to offer for you. So I talk about these first 5 tools as our basic tools, right? The ones you would expect to see. These are our whiteboarding tools. So if I tap on our pencil here, you'll see all of the different colors that you can utilize, including some highlight colors, and you can change the thickness of the writing itself. We do have some shape and handwriting recognition, so if your handwriting is horrible, you'll be able to utilize that handwriting recognition. Now, here's where I do want to point out that this is multi-touch, so you can have more than one finger using the CreateBoard Prep on the board. You can have a couple teams or a couple people actually, gamifying something or working on it at the same time. We do have an erase feature, so you can erase the content or notes, and we have how big you want your eraser to be here. And we have the text box, so you would expect to see all of the different text box options, including a fractions and a hyperlink option. We have lots of different fonts, including the dyslexia, which is supposed to be good for students that may have dyslexia. But all sorts of great fonts that we've got there as well. And then, of course, we have the shapes. So if I do go ahead and I create a shape, I can actually go up here and change the shape color. I can even change the shape line to a different color. And what I love about this is when I tap on the shape, you see these little blue dots. This means that I can actually extend and create a mind map. So I can say something like, if the front box was dogs, I can say poodle, and then spell it right. And then off of poodle, off of the next box, maybe I can say terrier, and I can keep going. And these boxes then also have them, so I can keep going off of them. So that's a really great fun mind map on the cuff type of option that you can use with shapes and text boxes by utilizing those blue dots around them. So this is these are our whiteboarding tools. They're the first 5 tools in CreateBoard Prep. And those are the ones where, if you're wanting to use the CreateBoard as a whiteboard, these are the ones you'll want to use. Now I'm going to create a new page. So you'll see over here on the right-hand side, I'm just going to tap on New Slide. So I get a nice new canvas, and we're going to get started into some of the more kind of exciting and fun features that CreateBoard Prep has. So the first one is the toolkit. Now these are going to include teacher classroom management tools, but also it's going to include things like flashcards and games and things. So we'll go through these just briefly. We do have access to interactive types of classroom management things. For instance, you can slide this up and down and let your students know what kind of a voice level is appropriate maybe for an activity. Another thing you can do is take attendance or use a classroom seating chart. So it's really, really simple to be able to do this. When I click on Manage Students, I can have as many lists here as I want. I can create a new list if I'd like to, just by going to list name and putting in period 4. And then all I have to do is just go through and put in um, our different names. So I just type them in, I click enter, and I type them again, and I save them, and now I have period 4. So once I have these periods in and I click save, I can actually now put in one of these desk options. I can rotate it if I want to rotate it. And then if I go to students, I can just bring in Julie from my list, and there it is. Julie's assigned to a desk. So there's all sorts of really kind of fun and exciting options that you can do with the class lists. We'll take a look at even more of them here. We have, with the class list, as I mentioned, attendance. We have name pickers and buddy pickers. We have group makers and even rotation stations. So lots of things you can do with the class lists. So if I go down to randomizers, we have some flashcard options for addition, multiplication, division, subtraction. We have some number generators and letter generators for our younger students. We have some dice that we can use for probability. We have some graph options. And then if we go even further, I'm going to skip lesson builders for just a second and go to games and activities. We can create a game show or do a memory game. We can, this is Save the Robot. It's just like a hangman, only the robot loses its little parts if you don't get it right. And all the other kinds of games that are in here. So those are very, very nice and fun. We also have charts and graphs, including if you're middle school, maybe high school, we have integration with GeoGebra. So it's not the full like GeoGebra site, but there is some great integrations that are going in there. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and create a new slide for this one. We have some math manipulatives. So we have some protractors and rulers, calculators, thermometers. We even have some base 10 blocks where if I click on this, I can drag the blocks up into the window, and then I can actually have it calculate what's happening there. So I dragged up 110. And any time that you see settings in any of our features, you should click on them because they're going to be some fun ones. For instance, you don't have to have blocks. You can have eggs. So instead of using blocks, they can drag up eggs. No, those aren't by the dozen for here in the US. They do go by tens here, but hopefully our students won't figure that out. All right, I'm going to open a new slide, and I'm going to go up, and I just wanted to, I talked about how I'm going to come back to lesson builders. So let's talk a little bit about what that might be. If I go to my 3 dots here and go to import, you'll notice that I can import my files from my Google Drive and or my OneDrive. I can also import all sorts of different files here. So these are all the supported formats. We've got PDF, we've got docs, we have PNG files. We also have IWB, notebook, and flip chart files. So that means that Smart files and Promethean files can come in. What's going to happen when we import these contents, let's say maybe that you're bringing in a file, a slideshow from Google Drive. It's going to take a couple seconds to import. And that is because it's actually making that content rich, which means that you're going to be able to edit it. So when it comes in, if you don't like the title that you would put on that Google slide, you can change the title. So let's say you do have a Google slide that you've brought in. I'm going to go back to that lesson builder that I had talked about earlier. These are all sorts of really fun little gadgets that you can put on your slides for your slideshows. So for instance, if you want to add the curtain, you can add the curtain and you can slide it up and down to show your content. So not only can you bring in that content, you can add some of the features that are in CreateBoard Prep to that content. Now you notice that I keep Xing out of some of these boxes, and that's because every time you try something new, you're able to get a quick little pop-up that shows what that feature does, and you can get some more information about it. It only does it once when you're using it for the first time. All right, so we talked about the tools, classroom management tools, flashcards, games, things like that. Let's talk about our library of lessons. We have over 2,000 lessons in our library, and they are aligned loosely to the Common Core. So if I click on ELA, and then I click even farther into Craft and Structure, I can see, what's being offered. I will say that you may, if you're in, maybe you're a 8th grade teacher, you may want to, if you're going to filter by grade, you may want to go maybe 7th grade and then maybe 9th and 10th too, or just leave that filter unchecked and just kind of see what are the options here. Sometimes these particular grades kind of stifle what you're looking for, and you could find something perfect in a different grade level. What you see right down here, ESL lessons. So if you're an ESL teacher, we do have ESL options, a full array of ESL lessons that you can use too. I'm going to move my little camera option here, and I've been hiding something from you. Many of these lessons have been converted into different languages. So if you're a Spanish teacher or a French teacher or a German teacher, you can actually go in and filter these lessons by language, and then you're able to use them in your class for those particular languages. Okay, so we've looked at lessons. Now let's take a look at our media. We want to add some media here. Because I'm signed in, I have some options here for images. I can search for an image if I'd like to, and it'll search our CreateBoard Prep library first, and then you can have the option to search Google as well. It even has an AI generator. I wish I had this, like 10 years ago when I was making all my presentations. But if I put in dog running through garden with speech bubble that says hi, it'll actually generate that for me, and I can use it. I'm not going to have to spend a whole bunch of time trying to find an image that I need. So there they are. We can also get them locally from Creative Commons or Google Drive. Now, we looked at images. The next media import that we can bring in is videos, and that's from YouTube, and they are ad-free. So when you import them and embed them into our CreateBoard Prep, you won't get those horrible, crazy ads before them. You can just start watching your content with your students right away. And then, of course, you'll be able to bring in MP3 files either from your local drive or from Google Drive. So that's media. Let's create a new slide and look at our backgrounds. We have so many just really basic backgrounds, but exciting ones. We have our graph paper, we have our canvas paper, we have our handwriting paper, and even dot grids and music paper. When I tap on one of these, it actually gives me this extra option over here to go to make the lines bigger or smaller, and that happens with all of those, so that's exciting. We can also go into contrast mode. So if for some reason that you do need a contrast for your lessons, you can make them that way as well. So I had mentioned that you can import your own files, but a lot of times, once we get going into a new software program, we start creating our own files in it. So we've given you all sorts of really great backgrounds that you can use if you're creating your own slideshow, or if you want to add it to the ones that you're bringing in. We have all sorts of just background colors, and then we have layout options as well. So those are our backgrounds. Let's talk a little bit about our student interaction activities. These are very exciting, and I'm excited to share them with you. So if you are a fan of Kahoot, this one's for you. Now it isn't Kahoot, so your Kahoot library isn't going to be connected here. But when I tap on this, it will open up and ask me if I want to create a new one or get something out of my library. I can actually create this myself, or I can ask AI to generate the questions for me, and then I can edit them to make them more applicable to what my content was. We can add images, and we can also add text and images to the answers. So if you're maybe a math teacher and you've put in an equation, you can put in 4 different graphs, and the students can choose which graph that equation works out for. So that is the student. By the way, so once you get the students going, and I'll show you how that works in just a second, after every question is a leaderboard for whoever answers the fastest and most accurate. And then at the end of the quiz, there is the leaderboard with a whole medal ceremony. So it's really quite fun. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the next one and create a kind of a new slide. We also have an alpaca race, and this is for basic math operations, plus, minus, subtract and divide. And so basically it's like if you were at the county fair or at Dave & Buster's and you're shooting the horses, to move forward. That's exactly what you're doing here by answering questions, and you're shooting the alpacas forward. The other nice one is an open question. So if I tap on that, if I just want to ask my students a really quick, maybe exit ticket question, I can do that here. You can ask something about the content or whatever you'd like. When you're ready, you can ask your students. And then this screen actually is what the screen is for all of the interactive activities. So students are either going to scan this QR code or they're going to go to this website and put in the code here. And what that will do is allow them to join. There's no they don't need to, sign up for anything. There's no account required. It's very just over the browser, and that's all it is. So I'm going to end that session and show you this last interaction, and that's a live lesson. So if you'd like to put a PDF up on the screen, or if you want to put maybe a math problem in the screen and then have students join, what they'll do is get this little, right here on the right-hand side, they'll get a little toolbar. So if they're on a touch tablet or a touch screen device, they'll be able to choose the color and actually work out those problems and or answer those questions in the PDF. And what you'll get in this window is you'll be able to see what their answers are and be able to decide which ones to share with the class if you decide to do that. So these are some really great interaction games that we're really excited about. Now, if I keep going, if I add a new slide here and I keep going, here's our save feature. If you want just a new board, you're done. You don't want to save anything. You want a new board, you'll tap here. Here's where all the blue folder is where all of your lessons will be. This is where you'll be able to share. So actually, let me go ahead and save this because of course it wants me to save it with a title first. And then I click share here and I can actually share. So if I've created a lesson that I want to share with my the other teachers on my team in my grade level, I can actually just give them this URL and they'll be able to open it and then save it to their own libraries and use it and edit it. It's basically, if you're a Google user, it's like making a copy. So they save it, they make a copy, and then they'll be able to edit it without editing your own. You can also share links right to Google Classroom. So it's really nice if you're using Google Classroom that there's that integration. As I mentioned before, you can import all sorts of different files. You can also export them right back out. And then we have some other options here that you'll be able to use as well. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you is this. So we're on 8 slides right now, and we've gone through, and let's just say that this was my lesson for the day. And I realized that I don't want to go any farther because I need to teach a little deeper before I get to the next slide. What I love about this is if I go here to the next slide, this works right here, and open it up. I'm going to be able to have some options. Actually, I'm going to go to a different slide here. There we go. I can actually, if I'm not on one of those interactive slides, I can move down on the canvas and keep teaching and then move back up again and then keep going with my slides. So if I'm realizing that when I was preparing the lesson that I didn't go deep enough, I can go a little deeper, come back up, and be able to continue my lesson. So that is CreateBoard Prep. I hope that you love it as much as I do. I think it's going to be a wonderful addition to your classroom with using it with your students. One thing you might consider doing is a little bit of a 5-minute genius hour with letting them, a few students go up and just play with it, and you just watch what they're doing, and that's usually how I learn how to do something as well. And of course, you always have this video to come back to if you have any questions. And if we have any questions that I wasn't able to answer in this video, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you on our next video.